Hey everyone, this is Finding Value. I wanted to go over some really long-term charts and then go into some of the more recent charts to see what's going on in the precious metals market and gain a little bit more clarity on when we could be bottoming short term so we can buy more metals. This could be the last great opportunity to purchase metals for a while. We may see some of these metals really start to take off quite quickly after this opportunity. And you should also check out some of my other videos in terms of seasonality, because we're also running into the season where we're going to get our buy point here and it's all going to line up pretty well. The end of the year is typically pretty strong for gold and all the other metals. So let's look at the big picture. We'll get a little bit more recent and see what they look like. So you're going to lose me here so we can focus on the charts. So this is a long-term chart for gold. And one thing I want to talk about is we made this new high. And usually when you make a new high, it can be with stocks, it can be with commodities, it can be with anything. Usually what happens is you get a new high and then it will back test the old high. Now the old high intraday was 1900. I've got 1825 here. And if I were to kind of pop out here and look at gold, which I have pulled up, we're at 1866. So in 2011, we did an intraday high of 1900, but it popped back down. And I think we're really close to that intraday, not intraday, but we're close to the close of 2011's high, which it actually has a significant meaning. There's significance there because there's going to be a lot of support under this probably 1850 range. And if you notice, we've been bouncing off that 1850 area here. So when I go back to the long-term chart here, we might be bouncing and back testing off of this high and then going higher. When you look at all the other currencies out there, what they did, and it's like any other currency. Gold went up in the other currency, it broke its all-time high, it back tested, touched the high, and then they all went higher. This could be doing it, and we could be at that back test, and this could be the time to pick up the metals. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, and no one does. But if it's mimicking the other currencies, now would be the time to load up. So this is one time where if you're ultra aggressive, perhaps it is a good time to purchase after looking at these long-term charts. And this could be back testing this high right here. Maybe it goes a little bit down a little further. You know, obviously I don't know everything here, and I don't think anyone does. But we're really close to that back test area and its potential to go higher here. The only thing that concerns me is the overall markets are kind of falling down. You know, they're kind of breaking apart a little bit. I think we're going to have to see them kind of have to go a little steady, or at least come up a little bit for this to really take off. But we'll see. The next chart is silver. This is a really long-term chart. I connected the all-time highs. It's probably going to be much higher up here, but you know, we've got these nice big patterns. And obviously it broke to the upside. And I think it's just going to follow gold here. This next one is the HUI to gold ratio. So HUI is going down in relationship to gold. So gold's outperforming the HUI on the downs. HUI's outperforming gold when it comes up. Obviously we've got some patterns here. It broke down, boom, 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 boom. And I've got these numbers here. So what these numbers represent is a Trader Vic 1, 2, 3 bottom. So we broke to the upside. That's step number one, is you break your downtrend. Step number two is you have a higher low, which we have a higher low right here. And then step three is to break this high again. And then we've got another pattern within the pattern. We broke this downtrend here. That's step number one. It broke out. It back tested this pattern, but it's a higher low here. and then it broke through. So now we're moving up, and this is that big sell-off. I'm going to discount it and throw it out. And now we're coming back up. So these are the mining companies. Mining companies are going to probably outperform gold. And typically when this bottoms, it means something. In 2000 was the bottom of gold. We've had this sharp decline, and it broke its downtrend and started coming up. This is the bottom for gold. This is probably going to be the bottom. You know, we're going to make new all-time highs, and this is the bottom for the mining companies. And I think we're going to come back up. So this is the ultimate bottom here. And then now we're putting in a good chart pattern, and I think gold's going to go higher, and probably the miners are going to go higher. Figure out what you want to do with your mining companies. My approach has been load a little more heavily in the junior explorers because they are proving up reserves. Those are the, we'll call it the last frontier of gold in the ground. And when the physical metal becomes scarce at at prices anywhere near where we're at, and it seems like scarcity in the physical market, it becomes quite apparent that they're trying to manipulate the paper game, but the physical kind of runs out. And that's what I mean by running out. It's never going to run out completely because price will solve it. It just means that price is going to get revalued much higher. So we're going to lose that pricing. We're going to lose the prices, the current prices, tied to that physical metal. I think the physical metal is going to diverge. So we've got a positive signal with the miners outperforming, which makes me think that gold's going to go higher. Obviously, nothing's 100%, but it's just an indication and a confluence saying that we could be going higher here. So next is platinum. This is a very long-term chart. And what you see are three gigantic flag patterns: flag 1, flag 2, and flag 3. The bigger the flag, the bigger the move, typically. But these are so large. I mean, this could be a 5-6 year pattern here. Boom, higher. Another big pattern here. This is 70, late 70s to late 90s, a 20-year pattern, and boom, higher. Another big pattern here. And if you notice, platinum, I mean, this is a ridiculous move in terms of how long it took to move that distance. I mean, you're talking $150-ish to $950, $975. I mean, that's in like 2 or 3 years. That's ridiculous how fast that moved from 76 to 78, 79, 78. And I don't have this real time. I'm just kind of estimating. This is a gigantic move as well. I have a feeling when this thing breaks to the upside here, I mean, I hope it doesn't break to the downside. It looks like we had a bunch of resistance coming back up. The mining costs are somewhere down here, so supply should be shut down. So I don't think hopefully it doesn't break to the downside here. I think it's going to break to the upside, and I think it's going to move pretty damn quick. So that's what I've had for the long-term charts there. If we look at the short-term charts, we've got gold here retesting the 2011 highs. It might be a good time if you're ultra aggressive to just go in, screw it, right? Here's silver on the short-term basis. Obviously, it's going to follow gold. You've got a nice little wick on the bottom here. If this holds here, maybe it's time to buy some, accumulate some more silver. If it kind of steps back down, maybe we hit this range more in the 20 upper teens range. So if you're ultra aggressive, go for it. But keep in mind that we may still pull back a little bit more. So maybe you split up what you purchase. And then platinum here. We've got a nice little kind of consolidation here. Again, I know maybe, let me see here. We've got some good support in this area down here. Maybe it reaches this in the near term. Another $50, $75 down or so. Somewhere in that range. But it's tough to speculate and get this stuff right. We did break out of a pretty large pattern, and hopefully it doesn't break to the downside and kind of fall out down here. So, I wanted to touch, on some of these things. This is the all-time high and kind of 1750 there, 1770, 1776. So we've got some good support in this area here for gold. This is gold. So I think looking at the big charts, it looks positive. It still looks good. Everything's intact. We've just got to pull back. It's tough to time these little bottoms here, but it could back test this high and just take off. And it may not give us a ton of time to really have a very large window. So, it's up to you. If you're ultra aggressive, go ahead, buy a little bit. Expect maybe a little bit more downside. If this market, there's a lot of unknowns here. I can't look back in history and say, when did we shut down the economy for 2 months straight? There's nothing to really look at. And how bad is this stuff coming through? The Fed is really afraid of deflation. So they're printing like hell. And I don't know how successful countries have been in fighting deflation. Because if you know fractional reserve lending, money has to go into the banks and the banks have to loan it out. If the banks aren't loaning, or if you have a whole bunch of people that are unemployed, they're not going to take out loans. They're not going to expand the money supply. And really these metals are just accounting for the expanded money supply. So I don't know how they're going to force the money into the hands of people. I know what they did with stimulus checks and with increased weekly unemployment, but that can't last forever. So if something happens where they decide not to support this market, you could see these things fall. So that's a risk. So it looks like the markets, the overall market, Dow, S&P, it looks like it's pulled back. I don't know how they're going to support this with infinite amount of money. And if that's the case, now would be the time to really load up on metals. Sorry I don't have all the answers for you guys. I mean, I'm still figuring this stuff out too. I don't think anyone has all the answers. But man, these charts look gigantic. And man, if platinum breaks that upside, we are going to see a very large run. And I think it's going to be pretty dang quick. So the next couple weeks, you should be thinking about getting your mining companies, getting some precious metals, the physical, and developing plans on what your portfolio wants to look like now. I wouldn't be waiting. So this is Finding Value. Hopefully you get a little bit better picture of the big picture and the clarity that we should all have in our investments. And we should know if things were to fall to the downside and all this stuff kind of unravel, we need to know that. So be careful. Have a good day. Click subscribe. Leave some comments. If you guys want to see different videos, please let me know. Thank you.